all those of you who don't know me, I am Shalini Prasad, Department Head, Bioengineering, and you're joining us in a very important time in history for us. We are celebrating our 10th year as a department, and you are joining us along in this journey, of course, with COVID notwithstanding, right? So, and we bioengineering is one of the most impactful disciplines in the context, especially today for public health. So what you're doing today is hopefully going to have a significant impact for the future. So now, of course, more importantly, instead of me reminiscing about all of the various things, well, I guess you don't need to see my uh, emails necessarily. So here you go. This is my screen, and this is our orientation slides. You can see a beautiful 10th year logo, and this is of course, as I said, a momentous year for us. So welcome everybody. We are glad you decided to join bioengineering at UTD for your journey through your graduate years, and we hope that you'll find it extremely fruitful and help you achieve all your career goals that you have in mind. One thing I'll tell you, bioengineering is a family. We are very community driven. Even in these times of virtual learning, our goal is to build this community and help you advance. So if you do feel confused in terms of information that you need, or you are conflicted about the information you have and you need clarifications, please reach out to us, especially the wonderful academic team who will introduce themselves as we present this. They will help you work through any problems that you may have as you navigate the curriculum, or trying to figure out which faculty to interact with, so on and so forth. Um, with that, we, of course, at the graduate level offer both the PhD and the master's. At the PhD, our focus is that you learn to do independent research and make an impact in the field of biomedical engineering and build a professional career. For the masters, we hope that we provide you training in interdisciplinary and collaborative manners, such that you can start a career in biomedical engineering, and it's in its various forms. It could be even something affiliated in the context of regulatory and quality for biomedical engineering devices. So it is that whole gamut of things, but the ability to start and build an independent career. So let's first focus on the PhD students. So most PhD students here start taking what we call is a BMEN 7188, which is our fall seminar series. So for PhD students, this is a graded credit, and you take it 2 times in your PhD curriculum or your degree plan. So we encourage the master students to attend this seminar because you'll get to see various speakers, national and international, in the field of biomedical engineering. We cover multiple topics in basic and translational research. So for PhD students starting brand new, you would be enrolled in 7188, and you would be graded for this. So there is some grading expectations, and post taking it twice, you end up taking this as not for credit as a 7088, and you will stay in this till the time you graduate from our program. So the expectations for it when it's graded versus non-graded are different. And for those of you who are in 7188, you'll see it in the syllabus, which I'll be posting, and in your e-learning page, as well as in terms of what the expectations are. 7088 is basically the seminar series, which is required, as I said, for PhD students all the way through graduation after completing the 2 7188s. And otherwise, it's the same program. As I said, the expectations will be slightly different. Once you do the 2 7188s, you do one BMEN's 8188. This is required for all PhD students, and you can take it only after you pass your proposal examination, which allows you to take 8,000 level credits, and you take it only once. And in this, the students basically practice the ability to present their research work, and again, it covers research areas specific to what you're working on, and it is student-driven presentation for work in progress. And again, if when you become eligible to take this, look at your syllabus for dates and times of these to engage with. So now let's talk about the BME and PhD program itself. So so basically, when you think about it, you're starting this semester as a PhD student. All PhD students start with a designation known as PHM. So the doctoral standing for you is that of a PHM student. So what does that mean? Basically, PhD students with master's designation. That's what it means. So when you come in. So when you come in, you have to develop a study plan or a degree plan. There are basically specific requirements for the PhD students, which I talked about earlier, that you have to do. In addition, there is another course that you will also have to take. After you do that, you also have to do you have to pass a BME and qualifying examination in year one. Once you successfully pass the BME and qualifying examination, then your doctoral standing changes to PhD students. So your BME and qualifying examination for students starting in fall will be in spring 21. So because you have to finish this one long semester, setting you up to take the qualifying examination. So once you pass that examination, then as I said, your doctoral standing state changes to PhD student. At that point, you become you have the ability to set up your committee, your PhD committee, start working on your research, so on and so forth. Then you get ready to set up and take your PhD proposal examination. Typically, you do it in year two. Some students with significant experimental work and clinical work, animal work, end up doing it sometimes even in year three. It is something very specific to the lab you are working in and the expectations of your PI. As a department, we suggest you start looking at it by the end of year two. So for that, you have to set up your committee. The dissertation committee should have 3 faculty who are primary appointment is in bioengineering at UTD, and one from who can have appointment outside. So again, you don't have to worry about it today. We can talk about it later when you're getting ready to set it up. But the committee needs to get set up, and you need to take, this is the committee that will stay with you from the time you take your proposal exam to when you defend your PhD. So this is the your journey with that group of people, and they're going to be your advisors and your uh, and hopefully people who can cheer you up when your experiments go bad and give you ideas, so on and so forth. So that's when you pass the proposal exam is when your status changes to PhD candidate, right? So now you're a PhD candidate all the way through. You finish up your exams, you publish your papers, you're ready to defend your PhD when your PhD advisor makes the decision with your committee, but primarily it's a decision of your PhD advisor that you're ready to defend. So then the PhD degree gets conferred. So this is your journey with bioengineering, the department. Now, along this way, there can be many times that things go not so well in your research. You struggle. And that's where we are all here to help you, to make you get through this in an effective and timely manner. So and every and if people, could you mute yourself? It's just couldn't hear. Yeah. So one time in this academic year, all PhD students need to complete a milestone agreement form. That means every year once you'll have to do it. It's not just for you coming in. In fact, you don't probably need to do it immediately this semester, but you have to get it done in your first year, second year, so on and so forth, right? So this has to happen every year, this milestone form. So I'll take a pause here, stop sharing. If there are questions, we'll take them. Any questions?
I haven't seen any come through the chat.
All right, Betsy. So then I'll continue. Okay, there it is. Okay, so now for the PhD program, in your degree plan or your study plan, as we call it, right? So you have to have 33-hour graded credit hours of graduate level courses, right, pertinent to your PhD area of study. So this can be master's level content, and this can then this also has to be PhD level content, right? So this content is primarily generated from bioengineering, so that's BMEN, which is our acronym, or BMEN cross-listed courses. So now, if you're coming from a different institution with a master's, now you can transfer your master's credit, provided you've earned a B or a better in them, to our degree plan. But keep in mind, you can only transfer 24 of these master's credits into the doctoral program. Similarly, if you have done the master's here at UTD and earned a master's and then decided to go into the PhD, then the same rule in terms of how things will transfer into your PhD study degree plan would be the same. So, of course, you need to have a UTD Bioengineering, BME and GPA, and that can be only obtained once you have a minimum of 9 credit hours of graduate bioengineering classes. That means these must be graded coursework. So this cannot be research credits for which you will get a pass or a fail. That will not work, right? So that's the expectation. So that's 24 plus 9 gives you the 33 that we're talking about. And when you finish up your research work, you need to have, and you're ready to defend, you can defend, but you will not graduate unless you have 75 graduate credit hours at your graduation semester. So this is something which is why we have Andy Rhodes, with whom most of you would have interacted by now. We do a degree audit. We evaluate that you're ready for graduation. In fact, you will know many semesters in advance, probably 2 semesters in advance, when you will be ready to graduate, what needs to happen. And so it's kind of the same thing like financial planning, right? We sit with you, we work with you. This is academic planning, because there are lots of things that come into play. Who's funding you? When does the funding expire? So how to make sure that the time of funding expiration your research is done, so hence you can graduate. So all these various factors have to be taken into account, and that's why it's important for you to meet with our graduate advisor and get that appropriate feedback. So let me talk a little bit about our PhD qualifying examination. We offer it twice a year in the department, once in September and another in March. All PhD students who are starting in the program, designated as PHM, need to take it in the first year. So if you're starting in fall, you generally take it in spring. And if you're starting in spring, then you take it the following fall, right? So that's the general way that it happens. So there is a doctoral qualifying examination application form, which you will need to fill in and sign. And then this is something that you need to get it out to Andy Rhodes. And again, we would have QE information sessions a little later this month to give you a better understanding, especially I think for the people who are taking it in September. They know this a little bit, and they're probably taking it because they didn't make it the first attempt and this is their second attempt. So yes, let's talk about the attempts themselves, right? So you can take you can have a maximum of 2 attempts to pass the QE, right? So if you fail it the first time, you have the second time. So say you take it in September, none of you are taking it in September. All of you who are starting the PhD right this semester will be taking it in March. So now I'm just going back to my example of a person taking this exam in September. So you've taken this exam in September and you've not passed this exam, and that's your first attempt. Then you have the ability to take it the following March. So you take it then, and unfortunately say you don't pass, then that becomes your terminal semester with the program, with the PhD program. You automatically get bumped down to a master's, and you can continue and earn a master's degree in biomedical engineering. If you've already earned a master's degree in bioengineering, then that becomes your terminal semester with this program and this department. You to another Johnson School program, or outside of Johnson School, you can go into something else, but that's kind of the end of the road. And this is academic policy, right? So this is not something we are making it up. This is consistent with what happens within the Johnson School and UTD itself. So, uh, and you cannot sit out an attempt as well. If you are eligible to take it, you have to take the exam. This PhD exam is focused towards figuring out whether you have the ability to what we call quote unquote connecting the dots. So these are ideas which are pertinent to your research, and whether you're able to drill down into specific technical concepts that drive those ideas, and how can you do extended thinking for those ideas towards problem solving without really having done much of experimentation. So that's the purpose, because independent thinking is what we are evaluating for you in this particular exam, and that's our expectation. And the format is going to be an oral exam via Teams. There'll be specific faculty committees, and we'll run this as multiple tracks. And so this committee will give you this 30-minute exam. So you get to present one PowerPoint slide as a quad chart. And my expectation is that every student is practicing it in their lab group, or in multiple lab groups. We also have the Bioengineering Graduate Student Association. They conduct many of these mock practice sessions. And so this would be, I strongly encourage people to leverage that and present and get questions asked. So and of course, if you end up failing this exam, you will have to retake it the next long semester following the first attempt. And we will have more information during the information session. So once you've passed this exam, you go along to the stage 2 of your PhD journey, and this is your dissertation proposal examination, right? So this needs to be completed within 2 long semesters of passing the QE, and you have to submit basically a prospectus form, which goes to our Office of Graduate Education or the Graduate Dean's office. And the goal here in the department is you get this done no later than the second long semester after passing your QE. Now, as I said earlier, we have had instances where this has become a little longer, primarily because of the nature of the research work. So if that is the case, then we do need a justification from your advisor, explaining why, the QE is going to, the proposal is going to take a little longer than before. So we do want to, for planning purposes, we would like to know before the 4th week of the semester, the intent that you're going to take your proposal examination that semester. So you need to the next point is very critical. So at least 15 days before the exam, you must submit your fully written proposal to the committee members and to Andy Rhodes. If you do not do this, we will cancel your exam. And this has become a big issue because students have been sending stuff 30 days before the exam, and that's become a big problem. And for your final defense, you are not even allowed to conduct your defense if you don't get the content in. So we are at the department, we're following the same rules. So the committee for this exam is basically, as I said, your committee, which is the proposal committee, the chair of which I will be appointing from within the same committee members. We typically try not to appoint your advisor as the chair for the proposal. But for the dissertation exam, of course, the chair is your faculty advisor or your PI. So that's basically what it is about the dissertation proposal examination. Once you pass that, you are now a PhD candidate, and you are at the final stage towards earning your PhD from UTD BME. So once you are a PhD candidate, you would have passed the qualifying examination, the dissertation proposal examination, you've formed your committee, you've completed 33 graded credit hours, you're maintaining a GPA of 3.3 or better, and you've satisfied any other program or school candidacy requirements. These are Johnson School requirements. And you need to have achieved candidacy before you can enroll in dissertation credits, which are again 8,000 level credits. You cannot register into those unless you are considered a PhD candidate. So now there's another thing to keep in mind. I talked about the minimum graduate credits for you to be ready to graduate, which is 75. Now, what happens is if you earn more than 99 graduate credit hours, then the tuition for you will switch from being in state to out of state, and it will be charged to you. So what this means is that if you're a PhD student and you have a RA or a TA to support you, your tuition is being paid for by the provost's office. So you're not paying your tuition. But once you hit this limit, then what happens is that all the benefits or the waivers go away, and you're kind of saddled with the fee. So even if you're in state, then the fee can be sent back to you. And if you're out of state, an international student, then it's the whole international fee that comes back to you. So the reason why this is because they want students to graduate in a timely manner. We've been very diligent in bioengineering. Our graduation rate is about 5 years in the PhD right now. 5 to 5.5 is what we anticipate it being. So, with that in mind, right, the goal is that you do timely completion of the PhD. This is why the department is here to help you pursue this in a timely manner. So now, of course, the graduate program at UTD Bioengineering is a joint program with UT Southwestern, which is the medical school, which is in downtown Dallas. So now, what does that mean? Right. So one of the things some PhD students, especially, are interested in pursuing research with a PI at UT Southwestern. So, is this possible? The answer to this is yes, but there is a process. So, PhD students who want to pursue the research work with the UT Southwestern advisor must express their interest to Andy Rhodes. And then, in terms of who the faculty member is and what you want to pursue with them. So, in the first year of your PhD, you cannot do research there because you have to earn all your credits here and allowing you at the end of the period, and they have an evaluation process which you need to talk to Andy about, because they do not appreciate you directly contacting faculty. You have to do it through the grad advisor. So if that is of interest to you, and say they're master students who want to do PhD at Southwestern with Southwestern advisor, but you being a UTD student, please talk to Andy about it, right? So because you have to start socializing this idea, figuring out where you'll be a fit, doing a rotation. There are all kinds of things that come into this. It's not an easy process. Now, if you're an MS student and you want to do a thesis research with a project with the UT Southwestern faculty member, again, you start with Andy, you express your interest to him, and he will connect you through the appropriate channels to the faculty member, and then we try to do a match. And we've been successful in these partnerships, but it's still done in this relatively convoluted fashion, primarily because we want to protect what our UT Southwestern colleagues have asked is everything coming to them in a streamlined fashion with one point of contact. So now, of course, for everybody who's in the UT Southwestern program, right? So you're all part of the UTD graduate program of biomedical engineering. If you want to earn in your transcript a joint UTD UT Southwestern, then what you have to do is that you have to earn a third of your credits, that's the semester credit hours, from UTD designated courses, a third from UT Southwestern designated courses, and the rest can be a combination thereof, right? So that allows you to get the designation. It's tough doing it as a master student. It's easier doing it as a PhD student if you have a co-advisor or a committee member who is a UT Southwestern faculty member. So now, uh, basically, if you do end up doing research with a UT Southwestern faculty member, you also need to have a UTD faculty member who is a co-advisor on the advisory committee. Um, and so basically there's like joint advising that occurs with this. And you can, any of you can take courses in the UT Southwestern's graduate biomedical engineering, no, biomedical program. So this is through a concurrent enrollment mechanism. This is available only to the bioengineering students of UTD, because that's how the memorandum of understanding has been set up. So whether you're a PhD student or a master's student, say you see a class in bioimaging or molecular imaging, which is taught at UT Southwestern, belongs to their graduate biomedical science program, and you want to take that, you can do the concurrent enrollment mechanism. This allows you such that you're only paying tuition to one institution, that is our institution, for that course. Otherwise, you will be charged to tuition twice. So you have to use this concurrent enrollment process to do this. And every semester, Andy will be sending out what are the courses that are being offered at Southwestern, and this allows you to register into them if that's of interest to you. And especially this year, with things being online, we anticipate that maybe the ability to take things, the courses may be a little easier. So that basically wraps up the PhD piece of things, and I'm jumping to the masters. Are there any questions, or shall I continue? Okay, hearing nothing. So I will talk about the master study plan. So the master study plan basically requires the student to obtain 33 graduate credits, which if you're not doing a thesis, translates into you taking level courses with us and graduating. So there are multiple sections to your study plan. The first is the prerequisite course section. So if you have been admitted to the program with an expectation that you have to complete a prerequisite, we expect that you do that in your year one of your master's program. And keep in mind the credits that are assigned for the prereq do not count to those 33 graduate credit hours. So they do not count to your master's degree. So that's an additional expectation. And this is true because bioengineering is so interdisciplinary. We have students from other disciplines of engineering as well as from natural sciences who are interested in earning a master's in BME. And we are very inclusive, but in order to make sure that there is some basic knowledge level that's there will be prerequisites that would be identified. So then once you do that, there are 4 core courses that you will have to take, and this translates to 12 semester credit hours. And there are 4 elective courses that you have to take within BME, and those again translate to another 12 semester credit hours. The rest of the 9 are a combination of approved electives and thesis hours. So if you're doing thesis, then you can do up to 6 thesis hours. So so that way you can do the math. And then one other thing to keep in mind is that out of the 33, 24 of your graded credit hours must be from BMEN or BMEN cross-listed courses, because the degree you're earning is biomedical engineering. While we're interdisciplinary, still the core focus, the sharp focus, is biomedical engineering. So the 12 core courses, so 12 semester credit hours, the 4 core courses that you have to select are from this combination that you see out here. And we are offering a few of them in fall and spring. So, so over the 2 years, you should be able to find 4 of these that you should be able to take. So for the remaining 21 semester credit hours, or the 7 courses, at least 12 of those must be from BMEN courses. So for people with bioimaging interests, this is one place where we collaborate quite well with UT Southwestern, the medical school I talked about. So you have one way of selecting out your electives towards doing what we call as a bioimaging track. You won't get a track designation in your degree plan. It just is like a concentration or a focus area. Then this is our selection of courses that will help you do this, right? So which are 3 of them are courses here at UTD, and 1 is from UT Southwestern. And after you do that, then you can do thesis or research hours and earn a thesis with one of the faculty who do research in bioimaging. And you can also perhaps do that if there's interest with a faculty member at UT Southwestern who might have a focus in bioimaging. So this is basically how your study plan needs to get set up for you to complete your master's. So let's talk a little bit about grade requirements. Your GPA in your core classes must be 3.3 or better, and in other graduate classes must be a B or a better, which is 3 or a better. So if you have a prerequisite class, then the requirement is you get a B or a better. So if you have a prereq and you pass it with a B minus, sorry, you have to redo it again. We don't give a waiver because the expectation was that when you entered a program, other people entering would have had the B level knowledge or better. So that would be the expectation. So this is something please keep in mind. So as I said, students must complete the prerequisites by the end of spring 2021 for those starting in fall 20. And you must take 9 graduate credit hours per semester to maintain full-time status. And this is, of course, important for international students. So let's talk a little bit about the master's thesis. Students must take, 3 to 9 credit hours of approved electives, either as thesis or as research hours. You must identify a thesis advisor by the end of spring 2021. With your advisor in the copy so that everybody knows that you're pursuing a thesis. So once you're ready to, of course, defend your thesis, the same rule applies. 15 days prior to your exam, you must produce the document. You have your thesis committee set up that semester, and everybody has all your documentation 15 days before. If you don't do that, again, you won't be able to take your exam. You'll have to move it out. And all the policies are indicated in the URL that you see out there. So hope all of you know how to get to courses. So coursebook.ut-dallas will give you the information. Keep in mind right now we have multiple teaching modes, from hybrid flex to online to to in-person, traditional in-person, so on and so forth. So it tells you what the designator is. It tells you when they meet. It tells you whether they're meeting it in class or whether they're meeting once a week in class, or whether they're meeting online but at the synchronous time, or whether completely asynchronous. So keep in mind this semester for sure, even though it's taught synchronously, online or in person, everybody needs to post the content such that it is available asynchronously for students, because there are some of you who are international students, brand new international students who cannot come to the US this semester given the pandemic situation, and who will be taking and joining us online. And we appreciate that. We welcome you, and we are here to make your life easier. And of course, elearning.ut-dallas is critical because that's the electronic blackboard interface through which you go to your class that you're registered in. It becomes available first day of class, that's on Monday. So once you do that, all the information pertinent to the class should be posted there by the instructor. Now, if you're having trouble getting hold of your instructor, communication with your instructor, please let us know. Let Andy know, and he will figure out how to get your request disposition. Faculty have been told to respond to you quickly, but keep in mind at the start of the semester, lots of things are happening, and I apologize if you're not getting information at the speed at which you wanted. Our goal is to make it as quick as we can, and we understand all the challenges all of you are facing. So again, a quick note on transfer credits. You can transfer if you're coming from a different institution where you've earned graduate level credits. You can transfer with the credits only where you've earned a B or a better. You can transfer no more than 25% of the total degree requirements. For master's students, it means, say you started a master's elsewhere, or you got a master's degree in a different discipline, but they have comparative classes, you cannot transfer more than 8 hours. And for the PhD, you cannot transfer more than 24 at the master's level. And if you start this program as a non-degree seeking student, you can transfer up to 15 semester credit hours that you've taken as a non-degree seeking student that can subsequently apply to a degree plan, right, at UT Dallas. So there are some students who start as an MS non-degree and then flip to an MS degree for various reasons, but you keep that number in mind. Otherwise, you'll end up losing money. So degree audits are done once a semester. you need to meet with Andy Rhodes, who is our grad advisor for the department. Then once you've met with him, he enables you the opportunity to do self-enrollment. So, but you have to meet with him. And I strongly advise you meeting with him because, as I said, just like you can't do good academic planning unless you have specific milestones and checkpoints associated with that planning. Now, let a quick note on funding. This is something everybody asks. So there are two major modes of funding graduate students. One is that of a research assistantship, and the other is a teaching assistantship. So research assistantships are pretty much controlled by the research faculty because it is their research funding. They write the grants, they get the research projects. So it's all their funding. They decide which student to hire, and that's the majority of our PhD students are funded through research assistantship. So our goal in our PhD program is to have every PhD student fully funded throughout the course of the PhD, as long as they're in good academic standing and making good progress towards their PhD. So keeping with those two caveats in mind, our goal is to fully fund our PhD students. And so far, we've achieved 100% funding for all our PhD students. So RA appointments are determined by the faculty member. The TA appointments are department driven because we have to make sure that our undergraduate courses have the appropriate support. So we look first at our PhD students who do not have an RA, and we basically figure out the best way to match them to the undergraduate courses to make sure our PhD students are funding. If there are any open TA positions outside of that, then we look into our master's student pool to figure out a good match. We generally look for people who have that basic skill set knowledge, who might have shown that they have had prior experience interacting with students, teaching students. So a lot of things go into mind, and the instructor who's teaching the course, we take their opinion in mind as well. So outside of this, the Johnson School has fellowships as well, and that's the link that tells you what it is. Typically, the applications open up in spring semester, they close late spring, early summer. Decisions are made over the summer, and towards the end of summer, the students know what they have, if they've gotten the fellowship, and then it comes for the next academic year. So that's the timeline for the fellowships from the school, the Johnson School itself. Now, I'm using an older slide, and I will let Andy resend this information for the LinkedIn links. But I strongly encourage you to join the, create a LinkedIn profile for yourself if you don't have. You can connect with us, faculty, student, staff. There are a couple of groups, especially the Biomedical Engineering Graduate Student Association have created, which allows you the social networking, the online networking. So now, Handshake is another portal through UTD. You can apply for on-campus jobs. This is very critical for the master students. And the other thing is internships through external employers also come through Handshake. So having a Handshake account is critical. So you should make that account for yourself. Now, this is a quick overview of our research areas and our faculty. This is good for the PhD students as well as the master students, especially those wanting to do thesis. So we have 6 areas: mechanics, materials, informatics, computation system biology, imaging and optics, biosensors, and neural engineering. And it lists all the faculty in the various areas that we have right now. So then, of course, there are our teaching faculty, and their primary function is to teach undergraduate level courses and some graduate level courses. They don't have a research lab, so doing independent research with them is going to be challenging because they don't have a lab. So, but many of you who will be TAs will be TAing for them. They would be ones evaluating you if you're a TA and giving us feedback. So as a graduate student, the expectation is that you take charge of you. So you're responsible for your future. So, you are responsible to complete work on time, to seek the appropriate help. Everything is self-driven, right? We are here as facilitators, but unlike school, we are not like grade school. We are not going to be really pushing you to do anything beyond what you want to do, right? So it's you driving yourself, and we are here to help, right? So that's the way it is. And the big thing I'll tell you, academic dishonesty is really not tolerated, and this This doesn't mean cheating from your friend. It's basically plagiarizing from publications, putting reports together where you've copied and pasted information directly from papers without basically rewording it or re-representing it with your understanding, not giving appropriate credit. So these are things that are critical things to learn as a graduate student. So that link tells you how academic dishonesty is dealt with. And faculty will report you in classes if you have to do a class project, things like that, and they find that you've plagiarized. So, and again, if you want us to respond to you, you have to write to us through your UT Dallas email address. If you write to us from your personal email address, all it says we can't respond to you. You have to respond to us. You have to write to us from UT Dallas, right? So, and many a times, because we have been told not to respond to any other emails except that. So we expect you to do that, right? And also keep in mind when you're accessing all the virtual resources, please follow the rules of the university. Otherwise, you can be penalized as permitted by the law. So this is something to keep in mind, things that might, you can't do like massive downloads of certain things of that nature. Library has certain access points. So you have to look at certain information. Those are the kinds. So please be aware of the rules as you engage with content. Yeah, this is me. That's my phone number and my email. And generally, anything that happens broadly in the end ends up getting disposition to me. But I am not your primary point of contact for problem solving, because if you do write to me, that's great. But my timeline of response will be a lot slower than reaching out to the academic staff. So I'll let them introduce themselves. So Betsy, I'll stop sharing, and maybe the three of you can introduce yourselves.
Sure. Okay. So good morning again, or evening or afternoon, wherever you might be in the world. I'm Betsy Willis, our academic program officer. The academic team is here to help you on your journey to your master's and or doctoral degrees. We're excited to have you joining us either in person or virtually. And if we don't get to meet you in person this semester, we'll look forward to meeting you virtually in the future. With that, I will turn it over to Leah Matheson to introduce herself, whom some of you may have met during the admissions process.
Hi, everyone. I'm Leah Matheson, and I'm here as a resource. I mainly assist with scheduling and admissions, but you'll see me announcing seminars, requesting your help with department events, things like that.
All right, thank you. And Andy?
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I'm Andy. You hopefully have all been in contact with me. We've been in contact with each other. I and Dr. Prasad mentioned this as well. Communication is key in any of our degrees, and unfortunately, at a time where we cannot sit face to face and we can't meet in an office, it's difficult to try and get the communication very quick to each other. We've got 98 PhD students in the fall. We've got close to 80 master's students in the fall. And so that's a whole lot of communication, a whole lot of emails happening now. So if my emails are slow in coming back and my replies are slow in coming back, please just give me some time. We will get there. If you have not yet had a chance to meet with me virtually, let's set that time up. I should have met with all of you virtually by now, but if we have not, let's just go over the degree plan. Let's just make sure that you know exactly what you need to do, and we can all get through this well, and we can make sure that you have a successful graduate career. We're all behind you. We'll make sure that we can all do this. Thank you. We'll see you in the spring.
Thank you, Andy. So let's see, I'm gonna go back to my sharing my screen. And that is a very nice picture of Betsy. So and this is Andy, and that's his contact information, and that's Leah. So we are, and of course, this is Chunia. So she's our lab manager. So many of you who are TAs, right? So if you're in a real face-to-face environment, you would be seeing a lot of Chunia. So because you would be a lab TA and you'll be working with her. I think there's still some of you who will be engaging with her, because some of our undergraduate labs might need some different kinds of assistance. So, you'll get to know depending on what needs to happen. So that's, and that's Chunya as well, or Dr. Wu. So that's us, the academic team. And so all of us are here, as Andy said, to help you navigate this rather interesting challenge that we've been thrown, right? But as engineers, keep in mind, our goal is to innovate, right? So we're going to figure out how to do this effectively and take that and apply it to further learning, right? So our faculty are doing this, and you're all also going to do this, and we'll work this out. So in this department, let me tell you, you are our major asset. If you succeed, we succeed. I believe in this strongly, right? Because if you achieve the career of your dreams, we have all succeeded with you, because you will be our best spokesperson. So we are committed to your success, and that's what we do in this department. That beautiful building you see behind me, that's where all of you PhD students more or less will be working. And then in some of you master students may also be working. This year, we have had 3 new research faculty join us. At a little later point in the fall semester, we'll have some introduction virtually so that you get to hear about them and what they do and their research. And so that there are various other ways of engaging, right, into areas that we might not have had in the department in the last year. And also maybe you've also probably all not met Dr. Obaid, who's also another bioimaging faculty who joined us in spring. So I am really excited to have you all join bioengineering at UTD. And as I said, welcome to fall, and we are here to make this a success for you. If you run into any issues, please feel free to reach out to us. As I said, we are here to help